Lumberjacks is sponsored by Echo, only professional grade with 5-year warranty. Crown, protect, maintain, save. Dickies, quality workwear since 1922. Yamaha, rev your heart.
Welcome to Lumberjacks. We're in Lyster, Quebec, where the Bécancour River runs wild and has given Lyster a connection to logging that continues today. Let's head down to the grounds and Bill Deba, take it away.
Crowd's getting all gunned up. We're ready to go with a single buck. We got 28 competitors competing for over $5,000 in prize money. We're going to be showing you the top 5 heats in the single buck. They're cutting through 16 inches round at Trembling Aspen.
In this first heat, we have Jerry Gingras versus Simon Bertrand. Both guys good at the single buck. Jean-Simon Bertrand running a J. Pierre Mercier blade.
Well, we saw these guys last week in the modified saw. They had a fantastic battle. The only 2 guys to finish under 5 seconds. Here we go in the single buck. A little more physicality to this event. They're going to pull in a whole lot of steel. Jerry Gingras struggling out of the gate. Simon Bertrand right into the wood.
Jean-Simon Bertrand showing flawless technique here using the full blade. He's going to be down and up 9.7 seconds. He's going to set the time to beat.
Everything looked really smooth there. I mean, you got JP helping you out there. I assume that's one of JP's saws. You made that look easy.
It wasn't that easy. You see, the blade was really aggressive in that wood. So you had to run it light and just put the speed on and no pressure.
So he told you that beforehand because of the saw? He said, don't put any pressure on it?
No, I realized it when I did the starting cut. That's where you do know what kind of wood you're going to have.
They're heading into heat number 3 of the single buck. Still the time to beat. 9.75 set by Simon Bertrand in the first heat. A couple of French Canadians in this one.
I'm going with a dairy farmer, Zouk Filia. He's using the full blade. It's a J.P. Mercier blade. Is cutting this wood phenomenally. He's going to be the first one off in 8.3 seconds.
And he lowers the time to beat.
Look, you're working so hard to put this show on, and you still beat Donald Lambert in the single buck. That feels good? Everybody's cheering for you.
Yeah, it feels very good for the little amount of training I got.
But you just go from experience, and you know how to use a saw like that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Actually, it wasn't my saw, and the owner told me that it was aggressive, so I just ran it very smoothly, and it did the job just by itself.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, Bill.
Well, here's a classic example of student taking on the teacher right now. Dave Jewett's been learning from JP over the years, both using his saws as well.
JP's followed them both. Dave Jewett, though, we know, the beautiful technique in the single buck. See him thrusting his shoulders and hit into this thing. He's going to be on the ground first. There it is, 7.4.
And Jewett wins the single buck.
What do you think? Did you jump the gun?
Are we rolling? Well, yeah, I was close on the gun there. It'll look, probably the people watching this at home, if you show a replay, it's tight. So some shows are real strict on jumping the gun. Some shows will go to a video, and they'll see that. But they're announcing the results right now, and usually you know by now if they're throwing you out. But you know, I wanted to win this pretty bad, and you know what? You gotta. Sometimes you gotta race. You gotta go for it. And sometimes it means jumping the gun, but it was close. I'd rather not be that close, but it was a good cut. I think I did in 7.5 strokes. Duke Fillion was 8 strokes, and I'm hoping I got the win.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay, thanks, Bill.
The judges are in, and the tape says Jewett did not jump the gun. He takes the first heat in sub 7.5 seconds.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Dickies, quality workwear since 1922.
We're heading into the springboard chomp. We got the top 4 heats that we're going to show you. And once again, we got Simon Bertrand versus Jerry Gingras. They've been seated together a number of times over the last couple of weeks. We saw them in the modified saw. We saw them in the single buck. Now we are into the springboard chomp. And Rod, you and I both know this is the most challenging axe event for any lumberjack.
The springboard chop event actually gets its origin on the West Coast. We call it tree surfing in the lumberjack world. Out in the West Coast where they have the large butt flares on the western cedar trees, they used to chop a notch, insert a springboard to get up above that butt flare so they have to saw or chop a lot less wood to get that pole in the ground.
A lot of people don't realize, Rod, that in these lumberjack sport events, these guys are chopping. These poles here are 9 feet in the air. It's a little bit unnerving to be on what is considered to be maybe a 2x8 plank, swinging a razor-sharp axe. You can see Jerry's got a big notch there, cleaning things out with his fingers. Simon Bertrand, his second notch, he must have been happy with his first one.
Because they spend about 40 seconds at the top, chop on the block. They take their time on the second notch. Usually you can do what we call a 2 and 2, 1 stroke down, 1 stroke in, but these guys will actually take a little bit more time, make sure that board is solid in the tree.
Both guys getting into their second notch at the exact same time. Looks like a good angle there for Jerry, and Simone is right with him. Gonna flex the board a little bit. Both guys axes into the wood at the exact same time. They got 10 inches round to go through now, but I think they're hugging the tree a little bit too much. Some arm chopping going on, and that happens. Looks like Simone's now going down there.
You saw when Jerry Gingras went to jump up on a second board, the notch was not very deep, Bill. Usually if you only put a 4-stroke pocket, the board isn't in there very far, and it'll sag down.
So now they're having to suck themselves up to the tree a little bit more. Can't get the power behind the swing they want to do that. Simone's way too close to the tree as well.
Jerry Gingras, being in that tight, of course, he can't generate any power off the spring of the springboard or in his legs. So these guys are arm chopping these blocks at the top.
And it looks like they're running out of gas. Certainly Jerry's looking to run out of gas. Could have a bit of a tough log to go through as well. Simone's made a turn over to the backside. He's trying to put some slicers down, but look at the far wood. He's got still lots of work to do.
He's got about 3 inches slicing it off on the far side. He's got to really reach around that block in order to drive it off. Jerry's just running out of gas. Again, he just wants to get this block on the ground.
Simone's putting some drivers in here, ready to win this heat. Simone Bertrand wins the first heat with a 141.22. You had a good climb and a good chop up top, but on the backside, did you spend more time on the backside up top than you wanted to?
I haven't went deep enough on the first side. I was afraid of my board. I thought it was going to sag down. I just get closer to the log and turn as quick as I could.
You made a decision to make one chip up top on the backside as well, because they were all drivers down, and you made one chip just to clear out a little bit of wood.
Absolutely, just get the axe freer for the up downswing.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
There it is, heat number 1 with a 140.22. We got some excellent choppers yet to come. Here's a couple of guys been rivals for a lot of years. Both guys now, certainly in the twilight of the career, in their 50s. JP Mercier, Gaston Deperry, a couple of French Canadians. You know, they may not win this overall springboard competition, but you know these guys are going to go 100% because of who they're going against. JP against Gaston, a classic.
They're also so consistent in all the events, Bill. They're great at the sawing events. They stay right in there in the chopping events. This is a great event also, springboard chop. They love it. But like you say, where they're going against one another, they're going to give it all they have.
Looks like Gaston was butchering his first notch, that's for sure, and looks like he had to take out a couple of chips, which a lot of guys do with their hands. JP's up on his second board, and you go, this is an event where you gotta rely on some experience a little bit here.
Notching is where the experience comes in. Usually it's 1 stroke down, a flat stroke in, then another stroke on a 35 or 30-degree angle, then your second stroke in. You see Gaston's board, that split out on the pole right there. That's going to cause him trouble.
Yeah, well, he's up on his second board now. I don't think he's quite comfortable with it. He's really a little tenuous as he swings that first axe. He's not taking his left foot out to the end of the board where it should be. Look at JP's left foot. Out the end of the board, getting a lot more power behind his swings.
Actually, Bill, you can feel with your back foot when you take that step back on your board if it's soft or if it's firm. If it's soft, you're going to pull in a little bit tighter to the tree. If it's firm, like JP's here, you're going to stand back, use that spring, and really chop as hard as you can.
Yeah, Gaston's running out of gas, but look at JP driving things off, lowering the time to beat down to a 110.26 and the springboard. You had a hard time with your first notch there. You just weren't happy with it. You kept working on it.
Yeah, I didn't like it, so for somehow I missed my target. It went flat too high. Then I had to keep digging it to go deep enough so my boat could hang on it.
So you learned some lessons there. Your second notch was really nice.
Second notch was perfect. I just went in, bang, 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 and then I knew by looking at it, that's it. I can stick the boat on that one.
Which makes everything up top a lot easier.
Very easy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill.
And JP Mercier does make the springboard chop look easy, coming in with a minute 10 in the first heat, leaving the rest of the field in the dust. Welcome back to the second annual Lumberjack competition from Lyster, Quebec. Gearing up for the second half of the springboard chop, JP Mercier setting the time to beat at a minute 10. Here are the next 4 choppers chasing the mark. Well,
this next heat, we got Sullivan taking on Calvin Willard and Rod. This is a little bit maybe like a David and Goliath competition. Sullivan has been around for years. Calvin Willard, relatively new.
He's a great chopper, though, and they placed him together because of that. The only thing is, as a new chopper, when you get put in an event like this, a springboard chop that lasts a long time, with a guy the caliber of Mike Sullivan, it plays in your brain. You know you're going to be up there. If you have something go wrong, you're going to be chopping forever while the guy that wins it standing there watching you.
Well, I was watching Sullivan. He had a 4-hit notch in his first board, up on the first board in a jiffy. He's happy with his second notch. He's up on his second board. He's into the wood. Calvin Willer still in his second notch. Look at the big slab coming out of Sullivan's log.
Mike Sullivan loves a springboard chop. He's putting everything he has into it. Calvin's doing a good job on his second board. He wants that one to hold him. And look at Mike. He's eating this wood alive.
Nice, clean lines. You can see those surfaces. Big, huge slabs of wood coming out. Nice, clean lines means he's hitting his marks.
Exactly, so he wants to switch over now. Mike's on the drives. He's actually driving a little bit low. He's got to get that drive up high enough so it actually splits a block off.
He's having a hard time there. I can hear some grunts coming out of him. Mike Sullivan lowers the time to beat to 56.35.
Mike took a little bit longer, I think, to drive it off than what you wanted to what was going on at the top.
Just needed a 1-and-1 on the far, that's all.
So too much wood on the far side.
Yeah, that, and then I mishit it on those slice. I didn't line them up good. If I lined them up, it probably would have been a couple hits less, but still needed a 1-and-1 on that far wood.
Good springboard, Mike.
Thanks.
Well, you know, Rod, maybe you could explain the 1-and-1 that he did not do that would have helped his time a little bit.
Usually if you take an upswing on that backside to clear all those chips out, you have a whole lot more room to stick your action to drive off that far wood. He was slicing all the time, and again, he just kept stepping up and up and up.
Last heat in the springboard chop, 56.35 is the time to be. We got Lambert versus Dave Jewett. Dave Jewett, look at the speed on doing that notch. He's got to have a lot of confidence. Donald's hanging right there with him.
You typically think these guys were outclassed a little bit. Donald Lambert, not really great at springboard chop, but he had a 44-second chop in New Brunswick just a few weeks ago, I mentioned earlier, and he's up against Dave. Look, he's ahead of Dave Jewett right now.
Lambert slams his axe into the wood. Now he drops his board. This is going to give Dave Jewett a chance to overtake him for the lead in this heat. Dave's into the wood up top, and he's got a pretty good board as well.
He's fast like a cat climbing. He's got a oh, it looks like he's got a bone of a block here. Did you hear that thud into the side of that block?
The axe is just not sinking into the wood. Donald Lambert doing a little bit of house cleaning. Dave's really seemed to be slowing down. Maybe he's frustrated at his wood.
This is where it comes down to luck of the draw, Bill. And Donald Lambert has drawn a nice block. Dave Jewett has drawn a bone. He's having a hard time getting through it.
The wood and the chips are hanging like crazy, which causes a little bit of opportunity for the axe to glance. It impairs the vision. Donald's on his backside.
He's starting to drive it off already. Dave Jewett is going to be back. Donald Lambert takes him down.
With a 103.36. I know you're a little bit angry because you probably could have done better. You dropped the board. What happened there?
The second board?
Yeah.
Well, I missed probably my fourth hit, and at the bottom I make some stairs. At the bottom I wanted to a little bit square, and when I pick up my board, I was checking my hole, and I was not sure, so I just missed. I just dropped my board.
Well, you had a good chop up top. I mean, your lines are a little bit bad there, but still, you must have had a good block.
Yeah, the block was good there. The axe just penetrated just right there. The chip comes out quite properly, even if some was holding first two hits, but in the hold was good.
Good job, thank you.
Merci beaucoup.
Even in the springboard chop, you gotta keep your eyes on the prize. Mike Sullivan locking in a winning time of 56.35.
We're going to be heading into the bow saw. We're going to be showing you the top 5 heats. And once again, they are hearing our plea, Rod. It's a 2-cut bow saw, which makes it a whole lot more challenging. And we do, in fact, have the best guys in the world right here. Start with Trevor Moeller and Maxime Mercier. Now, Maxime, he's the son of J.P. Mercier. He's got to be a good sawyer.
You know he's going to have a lot of training. He's going to have the best blade that his dad can afford him. So he should cut this pretty fast. But I'll tell you, Trevor Moeller from Vermont is a really solid bow sawyer.
He's got the big upper body strength. And look at the pressure that Trevor Moeller's putting down that cut. He's driving through that wood. He's through with the first cut. Max is well behind.
He's halfway through his second cut already, Bill. Look at Trevor Moeller. He's down at 11.7.
Now, in that heat, we got a guy really going fast, but you really aggressive on your push stroke.
Yeah, I try to put a lot of pressure on it because it takes me less strokes that way.
Now, for your style of sawing, you have to have a blade that will take that kind of pressure, right?
Yeah, I do, and this one will because it's a little duller.
We've covered Mike Sullivan, veteran competitor over the years a lot of times. He's an excellent axeman, an excellent sawyer. But before the competition, he'll always admit to me, I'm not very good in the bow saw, Bill. Well, look at him here. He's taking on Hugues Fillion, stroke for stroke.
You'd think Hugues Fillion would win this hands down, but it's going to be tight right to the end.
how about that, a dead heat?
Anything you do differently to make your second start? Because obviously in the first start, you have some time. The second start, do you do anything differently? Do you start with a push or a pull?
I start with a push, and I just kind of take my time. You know, I don't try to rush it, because if you get in crooked, you're done. So you gotta take your time a little bit, set it up there, and go forward and make it deliberate.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks.
And the time to beat is still 11.79, set by Trevor Moeller from Walden, Vermont. This next heat number 3. We got Dave Jewett, Pittsburgh, New York, taking on Jerry Gingras from New Hampshire.
We're in the heart of Bosaw country for the French Canadians, but man, look at the Americans. They're holding their own here. 2 more in this heat. Let's see how they make out.
While they're going to school on guys like JP Mercier, Donald Lambert. Look at Dave Jewett motoring through that first one. Jerry Gingras keeping pace with him, but Dave Jewett is picking it up. And Jewett wins this heat, lowering the time to beat. Sounds like the new time to beat right now, but do you worry at all about breaking cuts when you're so aggressive at the bottom of every cut?
Oh, especially when you have to make 2 cuts. You know, you don't want to think ahead. You definitely just want to finish that cut and then get a good lineup for the second one. But a lot of thing with the bow saw, a lot of people don't realize your knuckles are above that log. So when the frame comes through, your knuckles could hit. So a lot of times you just roll the frame over, and that can force the disc to break. So you have to roll your knuckles at the last second, but also keep the blade from snapping that disc. And if it does, especially in 2-cut race is over, you break that disc.
Here we are, Bill. We talked at the start of the show about home field advantage. We're in the heartland of Quebec, where all the best bull sawyers in the world should be. Yet 1, 2, and 3 right now are all Americans.
Here's the last heat. JP Mercier taking on Donald Lambert. Donald Lambert well ahead into his second cut. JP struggles on his second cut. Donald Lambert wins the bow saw with a time of 9.70 seconds. Just tell me about what you're thinking when you're making the first cut to the second cut, because a lot of races are just 1 cut. This is a 2-cut race. What do you do different?
Well, try to have a straight start, because it is important to have a straight start, to not screw up on the top, because you trail that out down the cut. So second cut is very important too. This is why I pay more attention, a little bit more. So, but you have to go for it.
Well, you're the only guy under 10 seconds. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Donald Lambert blows away the rest of the competition in the bow saw, putting up the only sub-10 cut.
Well, we're now about to head into the obstacle pole buck, and I know we do this a lot in the Maritimes, where you're from, Rod. We do it in Ontario, Quebec. It's really popular out in the West Coast and British Columbia. A lot of skills involved in perfecting this event.
I think the obstacle pole buck defines a modern-day lumberjack. You have to have a lot of speed, be able to run a chainsaw, have agility and balance. It actually is a great event.
Well, this first heat, we got Hugues Filion, the show organizer, taking on Martha Vineyards. Vince Messiel. Should be a great race. The first thing to do is they grab their saw, race to the end of the log. They got to touch the yellow line just before actually it's an orange line. Run up the end of the log, hand the pull cord, take 1 disc off the end of the log.
Vince Messiel has hardly done this event, but he's running neck and neck right now with Hugues Filion. He's having a great race. Both are turning at the same time.
Vince almost loses his balance, and Hugues does lose his balance. Oh, that's gotta hurt. Vince is gonna finish the race over, takes a look over at Hugues, make sure he's okay, and let's check it out, how Hugues Filion's feeling. Everything was going okay, and then what happened there?
On the way down, I stepped too much on the side of the log, and my foot slipped, so I went down the lightning speed.
So you have 4 children, and you're gonna have any more children?
We closed the shop anyway.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Well, the bad news is you get to take a DQ on that. The good news is you're still able to walk around and to be able to participate in the rest of the competition. This heat number 2, Mike Sullivan taking on Donald Lambert. Time to beat now is Vince Messiel, who actually clocked in with a 22.95 there. Donald's always been good at this over the years.
A little bit of strategy here with Mike Sullivan. Mike Sullivan, a great competitor. You know he's going to be in for the overall. He's looking at this event saying, do I go for it in this event, or do I just finish it and get down with all my stuff intact?
I know it's Donald Lambert. He switched hands with his chainsaw right at the very end, caused him a little bit of time, but he's making up for it by sprinting down the log, and Donald Lambert winning this heat, doing a great job of holding his balance and clocking in with a 17.56. But I think changing hands of your chainsaw at the very, very end when he crosses the second orange line might cost him a little bit. Here he switches from his right hand to his left hand, then he's got to grab the pull cord.
I think it's great to switch hands, but I do it a little bit sooner coming up the log. Take that time that you have when you're running up there. See Mike Sullivan just coasting to the end? He actually took that strategy of taking your time, save your energy for the events that you're a little bit better at.
Well, this next heat is going to be Jerry Gingras taking on Dave Jewett. Both guys very adept at the obstacle pole. You see Dave Jewett here at the start line. His saw in a little bit different position.
He's trying to get a little bit of advantage because last year in Dixville Notch, when we covered that show, Jerry Ginger actually won that event.
Well, both guys pull the ripcord and the chainsaws exact same time, into the wood exact same time. This is going to be a close race, and they both head down the logs.
Look at Jerry Gingras. He's beating him to the ground. But Dave Jewett, look at that sprint to the end.
It looks like Gingras just edged him out. Looks like they gave him a time of 17.91 to Dave's 18.19. Excellent job by Jerry, leaning over the log, holding onto his balance, and that's one of the keys, is holding your balance while you're bending over operating a chainsaw.
The turns are really what's critical in this event. Go swinging from one thing to another, making your turns at the end of the log, and also once you shut that saw off. That's what can give you a jump in this event.
Last heat, Simone Bertrand taking on Calvin Willard. If you recall watching the show from Lyster last year, Calvin had a very controversial call with just touching his foot over the orange line at the bottom. He made it, and here he is again, taking on Simone Bertrand, one of the best.
Look at the turns Jean-Simon had at the bottom of that pole, gave him a distinct advantage in this run.
Both guys were into the wood exact same time. It looks like Calvin's struggling to get through his disc. Jean-Simon racing down the log, carrying the saw in his right hand. Calvin Willard's going to take a DQ this year. Jean-Simon wins the obstacle pullback with a 15.71.
So the OP is a tough race to do, and you had the more difficult log. There was 2 logs, and there were different logs. You're the tougher log.
I thought that this one was the easiest one because it was flat, bigger than the other one. It didn't have a bump into it, so it was just a solid boardwalk and you could run on it.
Simon Bertrand proves Rod wrong on the second log, winning the OP with an official time of 15.71. Crown pivotal point starts with Hugues Filion leaving it all on the pole after losing his footing in the OP, disqualifying himself from the heat. And our lumberjack of the day goes to Dave Jewett, running the show in the single buck with a quick start that put him ahead of the competition for good.
Lumberjacks is sponsored by Echo, only professional grade with 5-year warranty. Crown, protect, maintain, save. Dickies, quality workwear since 1922. Yamaha, rev your heart.
Couple of quick tips for the obstacle pole buck. First of all is picking the saw up. After the word go, some guys will actually grab the back handle, which drives your bar into the dirt. What I rather do is grab the middle part of the bar on the middle handle. So when they say 3, 2, 1, go, I'm off and I've grabbed the center of the saw. It's well balanced. When I hit the log, the next thing I'm doing is as I'm traveling up the log, I'm switching hands so that my pull cord hand is on the pull cord and ready to start the saw as soon as I hit the line. Then when I get to the end of the log, I'm right into the wood.